Well, welcome to Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. In this liberal religious community, we welcome all. Our generations join together to nurture spiritual growth and personal transformation, that we may be inspired to transform the world with love, hope, compassion, and justice. At Live Oak, we especially enjoy meeting newcomers, visitors, and guests. We welcome introverts as well as extroverts and honor each person's personal preferences for entering into community. We hope that each person who enters here will feel the warmth of our good intentions.
We are sustained in our faith just like this bird is sustained by the water that he or she is drinking. We gather here this morning to affirm the Unitarian Universalist good news that no matter your faults or failings, no matter your station in life, no matter who you love, no matter your political leanings, your income, your age, all these things have no bearing on the good news that we gather to proclaim. That each of us is precious and worthy of love, that salvation is available here and now, that this new day breaks for all of us, turning darkness into dawn as a gift. Let us gather this morning in gratitude for all the truth that has yet to be revealed, for growth, renewal, and hope. Let us open ourselves. First-time guests or long-time members, you are welcome here. Wherever you may be in life, wherever you may be on your spiritual path, may you find in this community and these people, this faith, a lifelong religious home. Come, let us worship together. In the spirit of the topic of this sermon today, letting go, this week I decided to let go of sermon writing. And instead just have us sit in silence for 20 minutes. I'm actually only partially kidding with this. There is much to be said for meditation in learning to help us let go, but you still get a sermon this morning. I hope that's a good thing. We all know that deep down we are but dust in the wind, that our time here on this beautiful earth comes with a limited time guarantee. It is for us to make our way on this path, sometimes leaping ahead and sometimes slowing to a crawl, but ever moving forward. And when we come to the end of our days, what is it that we ask ourselves? I've had the deep honor and privilege of being with many people as they face those final moments, the end of their days, and time and again I've heard the same wonderings, the same questions. Did I love well enough? Did I live fully? Did I learn to let go? These questions form the very heart of our spiritual journey. When we consider loving well and living fully, we see that the ways of our attachments and fears have limited us, as well as seeing the many opportunities for our hearts to open and for us to practice letting go, being non-attached. Have we let ourselves love the people around us, our family, our community, our earth? And did we also learn to let go when we needed to let go? Are we moving through those inevitable changes in all of our lives with grace and wisdom and compassion? Have we learned to forgive and live from the spirit of the heart instead of the spirit of judgment? Letting go, as you well know, is one of the hardest spiritual practices, but it's a core practice and one that most of us will continue practicing and working on until our last breath is drawn. We may know intellectually that all is impermanent, that all is change, but oh, how we try to find ways to avoid that truth. We spend enormous amounts of energy seeking that permanence and security, however we might define it, looking for ways to keep things as they are. We hold on for dear life. But we must let go to free ourselves, accepting that change is our constant companion. We need to let go because this precious life of ours is so brief, and struggling against the reality of change and impermanence causes so much suffering, both for ourselves and for the people around us. We must let go to allow the mystery of life to move through us without fearing it, without holding and grasping. Letting go as a spiritual practice can be experienced in many different ways. One way is by letting go of material things. There's an old story about a famous rabbi who was living in Europe, and he was visited one day by a man who had traveled by ship from New York to see him. And the man came to the rabbi's dwelling. It was a large house on a street in a European city, and he was directed to the rabbi's room, which turned out to be the attic of the house. And he entered to find the master sitting in a room with a bed and a chair and some books on the floor. And the man had expected so much more for this great rabbi, and after greetings, he asked, "Rabbi, where are your things?" And the rabbi asked in return, "Well, where are yours?" And his visitor replied, "But Rabbi, I'm only passing through." And the rabbi responded, "So am I. So am I." I know that some of us in our congregation have recently gone through processes of downsizing and sorting and letting go of material things that no longer serve us well. And this is an important process, the actual letting go of stuff as we physically declutter our lives. We all know that feeling. I mean, I can even clean a drawer and feel good about that drawer. So we all know that feeling of freedom and release as we let go some of the stuff of our lives and simplify. And then there's the letting go that asks us to let go of hurts, to work through, to the extent possible, the grief of loss, and to practice the spiritual art of forgiveness. These are usually much harder than just clearing out those material things. Anyone who has lived on this earth for any length of time has probably collected quite a string of past life experiences that have pushed us to learn to let go, either gracefully or not so gracefully. Letting go is learning to recognize and acknowledge those many transitions that compose our lives, and hopefully finding some love and humor and acceptance in the process. How do we let go of these past hurts when we have such a hard time letting go of our suffering? Out of a fear of the unknown, many times we might actually prefer suffering rather than letting go, simply because it's familiar. Letting go means something has to open in your head and in your heart But that shift, that opening, comes up against our own resistance to change. Even change for the better is still change, and we, my friends, are creatures of habit and inertia. At its deepest level, the prospect of letting go forces us up against three strong emotional drivers: anger, love, and fear. Anger is easy to understand, but hard to escape. How many of us feel that someone somewhere in our past has wronged us, and we still carry a degree of anger about it? Yeah. To let go of a past injustice that preoccupies us, we need to let go of that burning hope for justice, or at least let go of the wish to expose to the world the wrongdoer for who and what they are. Love is a powerful counterweight to letting go. Even when a relationship is gone from our life, even long after a breakup or a divorce or a death, it still takes up space in our head and our hearts. Of course, grieving is an important part of letting go, and we never let go of those we love completely. But in letting go to some extent, we loosen the attachment and we open the possibility of a something or somebody new coming into that space. But here's the catch. Whether letting go of something pleasant or something unpleasant, either way, we leave that blank spot, an open space of what the future might bring. And in some cases, we fill that blank spot with fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of change, fear of failure. Fear makes us cling to what we know, even if it is destructive and hurtful. The poet Mark Nepo writes, "The thing about fear is that we try to avoid it, distract ourselves, put other people in the way, because it makes what is necessary seem monumental. It makes what is needed seem uncrossable. Yet when we stumble over the line, or in our exhaustion fall beyond pain, what we feared was a fall to the death turns out simply to have been the next step." And then there's the aspect of letting go involved in forgiveness. All forgiveness begins with self-forgiveness, which is also one of the most challenging. We know the facts that learning to forgive helps people hurt less, experience less anger, feel less stress, feel less depression. It makes us more hopeful and optimistic and even more compassionate, but darn if it isn't hard, right? Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning another's actions, but rather recognizing that while we cannot change the past, we can change our relationship to the past. The wisdom of forgiveness is not that it just releases you from your enemies, or those people that you see as your enemies, but it also releases you from judgment that is probably causing you suffering. This is not a blanket forgiveness, and certainly not forgetting what happened, but an understanding of what holds our pain and suffering in, and knowing that we might be freed by letting go. Many times the Dalai Lama has been asked if he hates the Chinese. His response, "Hate the Chinese? Oh no, no hate. I forgive the Chinese not because what they did was right, because it was wrong, but because to hate them holds me prisoner to them. To forgive is to set a prisoner free and then discover that that prisoner was your own self." A few weeks ago, I was given the opportunity by the universe, thank you very much, to walk the talk of forgiveness. I came face to face with someone I hadn't seen in many years, someone who had wronged me seriously in the past. And when I caught sight of this person, I got that knot in the pit of my stomach. But I decided to face this person and to talk of the hurt and the betrayal and the anger and the injustice, all that I thought was left behind after years of working on it, but upon seeing this person, sort of, boom, it was right back. And let me tell you, this was not an easy conversation. At the end, he asked for my forgiveness. I had to actually think for a while, and finally I said, I forgive you as you have explained some of the mitigating factors in your behavior, but I do not forgive your actions at the time. There is still that piece that maybe someday he and I will address. And I thanked him for his willingness to have that difficult conversation, because in a way, both of us at least breathed a little deeper, a little freer, letting go. Who in your life might you need to forgive? Or who might you need to ask forgiveness of? Letting go is also a journey into the unknown. Like it or not, we must all let go in the final sense eventually. Forrest Church, a Unitarian Universalist minister and theologian, wrote his final book while he was dying of cancer. And his closing words in that book, go forth into this fragile, blessed world we share with laughter and tears at the ready. Love, work, and serve to a fare thee well. And then when your own time comes, let go for dear life. Breathe with me a moment. One of the tools that I use in letting go is the breath. I find it very helpful to take in breath through the nose for about a count of 4. Hold it for about a count of 4. And then let go through your mouth. And you can actually make some sound as you do that release. Let's do it again. So breathe in. Hold. And release. A good tool to remember. So I'm going to close my sermon today with just a few ideas, techniques, tools to consider to help us as we continue to let go as a spiritual practice. And those of you who like to make lists, here comes a list. So get your pencils out. If you need to discard things, and this could be physically things or mentally things. Second idea, try to change your story. We are all writing stories of our lives as we go. In fact, we are our own stories. But this idea of changing your story involves rewriting some aspects of the story of your life from now a more balanced and empathetic perspective. Rewriting like this doesn't change the facts of the narrative, but it just allows us to see those facts through more mature eyes from a greater distance. Forgive when you can, to the extent that you can. 4, make amends. Repair relationships as you're able and help to shed that burden of anger. 5, focus non-anxiously on the future. Set some goals and then work to achieve them. And this makes it easier to leave behind other aspects of your life that you're wanting to let go. But then comes 6 right behind it, but don't get overly attached to the outcome. The great Hindu sacred text, the Bhagavad Gita, counsels, "Do your duty always, but without attachment. This is how one reaches the ultimate truth, by working without anxiety about the results." This means living in that space of non-attachment between attachment over here and detachment over here. You want to be as much as you can right in the middle of non-attachment. And finally, what is that now? 7-ish, maybe? And finally, perhaps most importantly, practice mindfulness as you focus in a non-judgmental way on all that is occurring in the present moment. Stillness, insight, wisdom arise only when we can settle into complete being in this moment without having to seek or hold on to or reject anything. Practice mindfulness. To love fully, live well, and let go means that we recognize finally that we do not possess or own anything. Our homes, our cars, our loved ones, and not even our own body. We are all just passing through. Spiritual maturity doesn't come through possession, holding on, but rather through our capacity to open and love more fully, and then to move and be free in life. And friends, this is not easy work, but it is the work of our lifetime. I close today with a Zen parable about a man being chased by a tiger. The man ran and ran, and he came to the edge of a cliff, and he had no choice with the tiger behind him but to leap. And so he leapt, and as he was falling down and down, he saw a branch coming out of the cliff, and he grabbed onto the branch. Not knowing what to do next, he looked down, and what did he see? Another tiger. Just then, his eye caught sight of a small strawberry growing just within his reach. He plucked the strawberry. How sweet it tasted. Only then did he let go. Amen and namaste. Now, to hold hands as we have our benediction this morning, let us all join together. Our faith, this congregation, is dedicated to the proposition that behind all of our differences and beneath all our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. Let us pause in silent witness to that unity. And may the blessings of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. And may love's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. So be it, blessed be. And now, as we extinguish the light of our communal chalice, now is when our service truly begins.